This is Greg Gutman for this edition of Tridion Tips. What I want to do is I want to go through how Tridion works with Trados Enterprise. I know in a lot of my demonstrations I just use machine translation, and you don't really get a good glimpse into what's going on with Trados Enterprise behind the scenes. So let's change that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a translation process, and this is a process where Tridion Sites is going to hand a translation over to Trados Enterprise, and then Trados Enterprise is going to take the ball and is going to do the translation. I'll show you the insides of Trados Enterprise as well. But first, let's take a quick look at some of the translation processes that we have. So it's important to know that with Tridion, if there's components that don't need to be translated, we won't send them off to Trados Enterprise. We're always trying to keep the costs down and make sure that you're not translating things that don't need to be translated. Once the component is received by Trados Enterprise, it's going to be matched against all the content that's in the translation memory. Now, the translation memory is important because oftentimes companies will be repeating the same phrase. The same phrase might exist in different areas of their website, or maybe the same thing that's in a Word document is going to be published onto the website. So it makes a lot of sense to use things that have already been translated as an automatic translation for future translations. Once we figure out like what the delta is, what new stuff needs to be translated, we're going to have machine translation do a first pass, and then I'm going to show how a human translator can then do a post edit on this. So let's get going. So in our example, of course, it is the solar panel example. This is the one that we show all the time. We're going to send this content off to translation, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the easy button. And here, and I'll call this translation tips. All right. If I take a look at the different content, let's just do this in French. You'll notice over here, so typically in my demonstrations, I do machine translation, but now let's do something different. Let's do translation and review. So from here, I'm going to be able to simply press the send to translation, and then I'll show you what things are going to look like on the other side, inside of Trados. So I'll show you the experience of what a translator would see. So we've successfully created this translation job over here. I can always open up the translation jobs, so all the things that have been sent out by Tridion within here, so you can see all the different statuses. And then I can go back and I can take a look at how things are looking at on the Trados side of things. So let me open up Trados over here. And so from Trados, we can take a look at the projects, and you can see that already my translation tips project that's coming in from Tridion is available. So it's important to note that, when you're a content author, you never have to leave Tridion. Trados is here just for the translators and the translation managers. And what we can go do is we can go into this project that has been created by Tridion, and then we can take a look at, okay, hey, what are the different stages? You'll notice that we've got a tab over here called Workflow. And if we go into it, you'll see that there's all these different steps that happen with the translation process. And these are configurable steps. And this is something that's very powerful within Trados, is that you don't always have to follow the same type of translation pattern. There might be some types of lookups, there might be some review processes, etc., that you want to incorporate in. That can all be done through setting up different translation workflows. Now, getting back to the translation itself, if I look at this translation, you'll notice that it is here and that it is available, and I can open this up in the online editor. If I have Trados Studio loaded up onto my machine, I could also open it up in Trados Studio. But for simplicity, let's just use the online editor as opposed to the desktop editor. So from here, you can see that it's done the translation, and you can see that we've got a number of spots over here where it says NMT, which is neural machine translation. So there's a lot of translation that's gone ahead. And really, if I'm a translator, from this split screen, it's more of a verification process than it is to create anything new. So as a translator, I can go in and say, hey, this all looks great. Let's accept this. Let's accept this task. Once and as I'm accepting it, that means that now I can start to make some changes if I want to. I won't make any changes. I'm just going to say complete, and then said, and I'll say all done, and maybe I'll say the machine did it. All right, so complete the task. And so now, what's going to happen is that this translation is going to continue through the different kinds of stages, and it's going to be available from within Tridion as soon as the final processing is done. And if we can even take a look at the process over here, and you can see that this is in progress. So as it's getting finalized and as the translation memory is getting updated, it will eventually come and it'll state that this is now up to date. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go into the activities, and I'm going to take a look and see, all right, here is the new translation that I have. So this is the translation review. So within Tridion, I also have the capability of taking a look at the translation as it's come through. So this is the translation which is coming back from Trados. I can then choose to edit it, and from within edit, I'm going to be prompted to do the review. So I can start this activity. I can review the translation here within the context of Tridion. And then when I say finish, I can say, okay, looks good. And then this is how I can communicate back to the translator and say, all right, this is great. This looks good. And so from there, I've illustrated not only how we send the translations off to Trados Enterprise, but then I also talk about how it can come back and how within Tridion you can approve and say, hey, this translation looks good. If I wanted to, I could also reject the translation. And what's nice is I never had to leave Tridion. So thank you very much, and this has been your translation tip.